Welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm participating in a YouTube hop, and it's to celebrate Ginger from Ginger's Corner reaching 5,000 subscribers, which is a really huge deal. And so the only stipulation for the hop is that she requested that we all use scraps on our scrapbook layout. So I found a sketch online, and it's from a group that I belong to called Disney Scrappers, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. So of course I started off with some white paper, and I gutted some turquoise paper, so you can see on the back that I gutted it, and I put some tape where I had done the sewing because the sketch shows sewing around the edges and some zigzags. The main colors I'm using in my layout is pink and turquoise, so I used that on my thread that I already used on my stitching, and now I'm using a scrap piece of pink paper to create a border, which is on the sketch. Now on the sketch it shows using a scalloped edge, but I'm using this Creative Memories border punch, which is kind of like a scallop, and it's called Weaving Waves. I just got this from Creative Memories at a convention a couple weeks ago, so I know this is one of their current products. And it was being given away free if you purchase so much. So I don't know if that special's still going on. And I'm not a Creative Memories consultant. I just like their products. So with these, all you do is line up your paper against the edge. And then as you cut it, then you can line up the image that's already cut with those blue images. And that way you'll punch in the exact spot that you need to. The Disney Scrappers is a free group you can join. It's like a forum. And you post pictures of Disney layouts that you've done so everyone can get inspired by each other's layouts. And they also post a sketch each month that you can make and post your picture of. And they also post ones on what we call the White Glove membership level, and that's $20 per year. And then each month, if you belong to that, you get an additional sketch. And also, the lady who runs the place also puts on SVG files that you can cut for your own use or not for sale. The sketch that I'm using came from their White Glove membership, which was for their month of February. And the sketch was made by Orlando Silva. And I don't have permission to share the sketch, so I'm not putting that up here. But if you'd like to join the site, I'll have the link in the description below. Now, the papers I'm using are scraps I've had left from doing some other layouts, and they come from Simple Stories, Say Cheese, Fantasy at the Park. And I'm just figuring out where I'm going to put all my papers so I can go ahead and put my scraps on here. So these are my largest pieces, and then the rest of the sketch shows using kind of strips. I'm just marking about where my paper's going to be that I have here so I know where my strips need to stick out so that you can see them. I'm going to cut this scrap piece into some larger strips because those will go behind the other papers that I was just experimenting with. But I don't want to use the same papers because they wouldn't show up then. But since this is double-sided, I can use the large polka dot side. I cut some strips from the scraps that I had left from that collection as well as the branding strips. And I also used some branding strips from other collections that had the same type of colors and look to them. And now I'm just figuring out which strips I want to put up in the right-hand corner, which the sketch shows using some strips up on top. The sketch shows using several different strips of paper horizontally across the page, so I'm just putting on those two wider strips that I already cut. I'm using a quilting ruler to try to make sure I keep it straight. It also shows that the strips aren't always all exactly the same, so I try to put them on so that they all kind of begin and end in different places. And I'm just using my Nuvo Deluxe glue to adhere them to the page. The other strips I'm using are branding strips, so they're not wide enough to go all the way across. So what I do is I just cut them in pieces and just put them on the left and right side because the pictures are going to be in the middle part, so you won't know that it doesn't go all the way across the page. This layout really came together pretty quickly, but I take a while trying to decide where I want to put things and which papers I want to use, so I did speed this process up quite a bit so that the video wouldn't be so long, especially since it is part of a YouTube hop. I'll put a list of all the participants in the hop in the description below. Please hop along after you watch my video to get some more inspiration of how to use your scraps and also to check out everyone else's videos. Also be sure to check out Ginger and congratulate her on her 5,000 subscriber milestone and also get some more inspiration. She always has great videos and great advice. And also she is giving away a $20 gift card to a cherry on top. I didn't really have enough branding strips that worked here that kind of went along with the colors that I wanted. So I'm using my washi tape that's from the same collection. And that worked really well. So you can kind of combine strips of paper as well as washi tape. And the other thing is I tend to hoard my washi tape, which is not good because it doesn't stay good for a long time. After a while, it isn't sticky anymore. Then I just used my Nuvo Deluxe glue to glue down my larger papers that I had out earlier and also glue down my pink border. Sometimes I use glue and sometimes I use my Scotch ATG gun or double-sided adhesive. Doesn't really matter, it's just whatever you prefer, and also to make sure that you use acid-free adhesive. I mounted my photos on the leftover paper from the turquoise border that I had gutted, and I actually still had a pretty decent sized piece left over. So if you got your paper, that does give you quite a bit of paper to use on future layouts, or if you want to use ones to match the border that you already made. I went ahead and stuck these down, but for some reason I didn't notice that I put the middle picture upside down, but I do fix that later. Now the sketch showed using 3 stars and a Mickey head, which I do end up using. But when you're looking at sketches, you can be really free with the embellishments or just an idea of where to put the embellishments. The other thing is my photos are actually larger than the ones that were on the sketch, so you can go ahead and adapt your sketch to match whatever your photos are. So I just cut my larger pieces of paper wider than what it was on the sketch. I created the stars out of some scrap glitter paper that I had, and I used some AveryElle star dies. I don't know what that's still being made of, so I'll put it in the description below. Now the Mickey head, I really don't know where that came from. I think I got it as a free gift with an order, so I don't know who made it or anything. It is kind of glittery on top, and it matches my layout perfectly, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on here. It's kind of squishy, like it has like a pillow type feel to it, and the top of it's glittery, so it goes perfectly with the stars. For the title, I cut out some glitter paper, and I first of all put on some double-sided adhesive from Elizabeth Craft Designs on the back, and then I cut them out with some thick alphabet dies, and that way I can just peel off the paper like they're stickers. And that makes it easy to do the title. My title is Casey Jr. because this is the little train that goes around part of Fantasy Land. My sister and I had never been to Disneyland, and we haven't been back since. This was in 2005. So since we had been to Disney World several times, we wanted to make a point to see all the rides that were not at Disney World or else were different. Like the Small World ride, of course, there's one at both places, but the one in Disneyland is quite a bit different than the one in Disney World. I'll put a list to all the products that I'm using in the description below. Some of these will be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but I do get a small commission from any sales that the links generate, and that helps support my channel. As a final embellishment, I add some dots of pops of color from scrapbook.com. The first color I'm using is called Gloss Sky Blue, and the second one I use is a pearl one called Soft Pink. Now I did have problems as far as these kind of make a little tip. I can't get them to go like an enamel dot. And it has a tip kind of like what you find at Dairy Queen when it swirls the ice cream. So I did kind of move my paper around. I was kind of dropping it on the table and kind of trying to shake it to get them to go flat. I've heard that helps. Which some of the dots did go flat, but some of them still had a little bit of a peak. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like. And if you're not already a subscriber, I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. Thank you and have a wonderful day.